3 times up what I had invested at one point,
Ooh.
but I was just like, no, I'm gonna keep going until I lose it all, and I cashed out with 1 cent.
Oh, well, your partoofs reflect that then.
They do actually.
Yeah. Well, guys, we are in the last best of three for the qualifier. IEM. Up next, we do have Rifkin and Livy be casting the EU qualifiers, so you just literally have to stay right here in this
Yeah.
channel, and it'll go down for like 5 minutes. It'll be right back up, and you'll have two new faces, all bright and cheery, and happy to cast. But we are still on this one. It's a PvP. It's game number 1 on Foxtrot Labs. In the bottom left, as the Red Protoss, Yoi Flash Wolf Sun.
And his opponent spawning up at the top right-hand corner, it is going to be the blue Protoss player, Classic.
Yeah. I know a lot of people are waking up, I guess, and maybe like the Europeans are. No, it's like Sunday for them, so never mind, they're not at work. Anyways, if you guys weren't here the entirety of the cast, this is Fear Dragon, I'm Zombie Grub. Rifkin cast like all day yesterday, like a freaking marathon, and he's gonna cast like right now, okay? Like basically. So understandable he didn't want to stay up for literally 48 hours. Do not blame him. Production
I,
quality is a little low because, you know, we don't usually expect me to solo cast. But I think I did a pretty good job, okay? I have
I
not
think
gone to
that's a
sleep.
very, very well edited image of Graham.
Thank you!
That is an amazingly well edited image of Rifkin.
Well, I wish I could take credit for that, but I can't. And I can't take credit for the overlay anymore because someone amazing gave me a really good
Wait a
overlay.
second. I think I made that image. I made that image! Wait a second. I was like doing a double take. I was like, wait, I put all of those cats behind him. I remember this now.
Oh, well, there you go. So, you know, that's legit. But otherwise, like, you know, map intros, legit, like swivels and panning and stuff, not happening here because I haven't practiced, guys, and I probably won't. But it's no one's fault. Just, you know, sometimes these things happen. We did not expect, I think, a 48-hour long cast. Like, these IMs, they're usually, like pretty hard, but they came one after another. I mean, my God. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to my cold pizza. And here we go into another PvP.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised that like you and Rifkin haven't just decided at this point that you were going to cast on this channel 24/7 and been like, okay, I'm going to cast for 12 hours and then I'm going to go to bed. You're going to cast for 12 hours.
Maximizing
You're going to go
profit.
to bed. Oh my God.
Well,
Okay, well, San being a little okay, hold on, no. For a second I saw that proxy pylon in the right hand side of San's base. I was like,
yeah.
did Classic proxy pylon like after Cybernetics Core? Is
You
this
know,
like the beta of StarCraft Wings of Liberty?
he has
No.
versus Hero. I think in two occasions he got a an in base pylon. Well, in base and an in natural pylon. I think was the way that it went. So I would not have been surprised, and I thought the same thing as you did. But
Yeah.
that was just check to make sure. I think more so that Classic didn't put one down, but it is of course going to be useful if putting down like Twilight Council, Dark Shrine, whatever over here. But that probe goes back in here. Doesn't really see like, you know, the tech. It'll see the second gateway and how many guys are on gas, but
Hmm.
kind of usual to see, I would say. What is San seen on
Uh,
your Classic side though? No Twilight Council. All right, so he's a little in the dark.
hmm. Yeah, and this is actually going to be really interesting because the fact that he sees those gateways is going to be huge, or the fact that Classic sees the gateways of San is going to be a huge, huge tell. If you're going for a Twilight Council, you don't need to grab these gateways that early if you're going for a Dark Shrine. This is almost certainly going to be Blink, I think.
Oh wait, I didn't. Man, I am really tired. Did he see? He saw the Twilight Council. Wow, I thought that was under the gateway or something.
Yeah.
Whatever. So it is gonna be 3 gateway blank versus DT, and Classic is like it's a robo, but not San. This could be bad if he doesn't get a. If he doesn't get his own robo, this is almost an automatic win because by the time you try and slap it down, the DTs are already attacking it. Hmm.
Yeah, it's one of those like risky kind of corners that you sometimes try and cut. It's like, well, I could go for the observer, or I could just instead of investing in a robo, get more stalkers and kill them if they're doing
Oh.
anything except for DTs.
Okay. Okay, so he does throw one down, I think just in the nick of time, unless the pylon gets killed or
Oh,
like two DTs
he
go on
sees
it
the pylon.
immediately. Hmm.
He's
Hmm.
going to be able to kill off one of the pylons, but the probe is actually still sitting at the natural expansion. If he actually manages to keep that probe alive, he may be in an okay position. Oh, San is actually just backing all the way up, and San may have just seen the glimpse of that DT moving around.
Yeah.
He has a sentry ready with a force field.
This is not
There
worrying
it
at
is.
all. I mean, even without the force field, yeah, you definitely want the force field because all those probes would have gone down, or at least mining time lost. But even without it, it would not have been a
Yeah.
game-ending move. It was only one DT after all, and behind this, Classic does expand, so he's actually a good ways ahead of San's own expansion.
Yeah, I mean, it's like not the end of the world if the DT doesn't actually do massive amounts of damage. And actually, the DT gonna get in, and that's actually I like that move from Sun letting the DT in at this point, just because the DT is pretty much now
Ooh,
committed. He's gonna lose that DT. In other situations,
why?
sometimes they keep the DT alive.
Do you? That overcharge seemed unnecessary. I know sentries are tickle like
Yeah,
monsters, but
I guess DT's one-shot probes. He wanted to lose like a minimum number of probes
yeah,
possible,
yeah,
but
and
oh god.
he did see that it was an expansion, so he's not expecting an attack
Hmm.
either. So I guess that was okay. Fortunately, can't do anything about that faster expansion. Just gonna have to try and get his own just much later.
Yeah, and Classic actually still has this sneaky little probe over here, just to the right of San's expansion, and he can, as soon as he moves that probe, he's gonna be able to scout out that the expansion was finally taken. And that might not seem like the biggest deal; it's probably really implicit, but there may have been like a couple of concerns of like, what if San just continues to one base and like goes for the big all in? I mean, these stalkers are being rather aggressive on the side of the map.
I wonder if Classic was a little afraid that San was gonna commit more than he did. I mean, he had that probe right there, so you would think not.
Mhm.
I mean, he obviously did expand, but considering
Yeah.
how San beat Hero, and I gotta be thinking that Classic was checking that stream out, whatever stream it was. He was probably a little like, oh, I want to get this immortal as fast as possible. So there was little lapse in probe production.
Hmm.
So they're actually pretty similar. So the later Nexus really does not play a huge
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I will say is that just tech-wise, I'm really liking Classic's position better. Not only does he have like those early DTs that he can make into Archons if he needs to, if San gets really heavy on say Zelds or something, but he has so many Immortals out already. 3 Immortals out on the map.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be a little bit problematic for San to deal with, even with him going for the Robotics Bay. I mean,
Yeah. I agree. I love Immortals in actually all matchups, which might sound like disgusting, but I really do. I think they had some very cool like micro potential, and I think they're more interesting than Colossus, I guess. But especially in PvP, it does seem like if you play a perfect PvP where you both just play whatever you want, go on 2 bases, that the ideal situation is that you do have the opportunity to go for 3 Immortals, both of you, and then you go up to Colossus. But in maybe in less than ideal situation, you got to choose Immortals or Colossus first, and
yeah.
sometimes that can be a very difficult decision to make, but it is one that San did make. So we'll see if this actually affects the game. If they do just kind of passively go to 3 bases, that definitely can happen. San, I think, was the last guy that was the aggressor, but he's, I think, he's not in the worst position necessarily, down by 2 probes, down by 8 supply, or army supply, but I think he's in the more defensive one. Like, he probably doesn't feel too confident about, like, taking an
Yeah.
engagement. Oh,
Yeah, I
wow.
mean, he honestly just like unit wise, he's basically got 5 stalkers, an immortal, and 3 sentries versus 3 immortals, 5 stalkers, and like 2 sentries, and like a couple of zealots. So he's definitely behind just in terms of unit count. He's gonna finally find this annoying probe that's just been sitting at the natural expansion the entire game. But a
Yeah.
really quick note, I think that uh, for people wondering, the score is still 0-0. This is still game one. I
Yeah.
think that you're not showing the score right now, but yeah, it's 0-0. You're not missing out on any of the score, guys.
Yep, because this race is bad. Trust me, I don't like watching people's streams that don't have the score. It's really infuriating. But
Yeah.
I literally can't do it. Thanks, Game Heart. Thanks, Obama. No.
Oh.
Yeah, it is 0-0, guys. This is a very important match. Whoever wins this will go on. Whoever loses just like straight up loses. This is the losers bracket, so very tense right here. But they both go for 3 bases, so we'll be rather passive. And
Yeah.
while again, Classic has a little bit of an army edge, that's not going to be used immediately, and as such, it's usually just decreases over time.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you say you have an economic advantage, which I don't think either of these players really had, then you start talking about like, oh, well, you have a better economic advantage. You get workers a little bit faster. Like you don't have to cut production at any point. So it slowly snowballs. If you just are up a unit or two, you never really get further ahead unless you're trading out units. And we've seen like these players have been pretty passive. So I feel like the longer this game goes on, the better San, well, as we were saying, like he was never really out of the game, but he's gonna be feeling better and better the later this game goes on.
Yeah. Of course, he didn't have to feel so scared. He always had some type of detection on the field. His first observer died, actually, so that wasn't it. But the
Oh
Blink
yeah.
Stalkers were something he had over Classic, so he was always in the middle of the map. You know, he wasn't just being, you know, you come to me, I'll find an opportunity to come to you, trust me. And this is the opportunity that he sees. Again, actually, now by 10 probes now. It used to be just 5, but that means that he's just a little bit higher, just the tiniest bit higher in army supply. Upgrades are going to finish Rasan a lot faster, so he will have an upgrade lead as well as charge. Now, I don't know if this will be enough to, make up for defender's advantages that really usually play a huge part because warp gates kind of, don't make it the same as in other matchups, but still, like with an overcharge, a good time warp, a good concave,
Yeah.
those are all things that the defender usually has.
Yeah, not to mention those Colossus obviously do still have to walk across the map, but one thing I really like about San's position is, I mean, talking about this map, the third expansion, very, very exposed over here. Charge Zealot's able to get a huge, huge area to charge in
wow.
and deal massive amounts of damage. The Immortals just evaporate for Classic.
I'm surprised. Didn't he have more Immortals? Yet his army went down much faster. Of course, San did have a couple of Archons mixed in, and again, a charge. His Zealots actually reached a lot more and wrapped around a lot more, so he might not end the game here, but he took them a third, and his third is actually here. Classic is trying to basically get as many Colossus as possible, it seems, going up to 6, no, 7, still 2 more on the way.
Yeah, I will say, like, keeping those Colossus alive still very, very important. If you can just keep that Colossus edge, you can still maybe just warp in reinforcing units, but, I mean, he's starting to lose those to the charge loss. When charge loss are on top of your Colossus, you're in big, big trouble. Finally, we end up seeing San take the Colossus lead, charging on into the natural expansion, and looking to take game number 1.
Yep. A very nice, like, hit right there. I mean, he had charge +2, and I guess you can't underestimate how much, Zealots wrapping around units really affects them. GG.
Yeah, GG. And San gonna be taking game number 1 in this best of 3, and looking to be very, very close to being able to qualify